Hey everyone, I'm working to hit 1,000 subscribers and I need your help to get there. If you enjoy this content, please hit that subscribe button right now.
What if I told you that the Blue Jays being hunted by the Mets and the Dodgers in the Kyle Tucker sweepstakes isn't a warning siren at all, but a victory trumpet sounding across Major League Baseball? What if this three-way tug-of-war isn't about Toronto trying to prove it belongs at the top table, but about everyone else finally realizing they're already sitting across from the most dangerous franchise in the sport? Stay with me, because this story isn't about fear, it's about validation, and by the end of it, the entire picture snaps into focus in a way that makes perfect, almost cinematic sense. Hello Jays Nation, and welcome back to Jays Quick News, your trusted home for everything Toronto Blue Jays, where the noise fades away and the truth gets its moment under the floodlights. If you're enjoying this breakdown already, make sure you like the video, share it with a fellow fan, and subscribe so you don't miss what comes next, because this chapter of the Blue Jays story is only just getting interesting. The Kyle Tucker race has done something extraordinary. It has confirmed, without any press release or self-congratulation from Toronto, that the Blue Jays are now operating on a plane so high that baseball's biggest spenders are scrambling just to stay in frame. According to former Mets and Orioles general manager Jim Duquette, citing league sources, only 3 teams have separated themselves in the chase for Tucker. The Toronto Blue Jays, the New York Mets, the Los Angeles Dodgers. On paper, that looks like a heavyweight battle. In reality, it's a public admission that Toronto has forced its way into a tier few ever reach. Here's what most analysts are missing, and it's a crucial detail. The Blue Jays didn't join this race late. They didn't react. They didn't follow. They set the pace, and everyone else had to sprint to catch up. While other front offices hesitated, recalculated, or hid behind cautious press statements, Toronto moved with the certainty of a franchise that knows exactly who it is and exactly where it's going. Think back to the start of this off-season, when uncertainty still hung in the air like morning mist. Toronto didn't wait for it to clear. They cut straight through it. Dylan Cease, 7 years, $210 million, done without hesitation. Tyler Rogers, 3 years, $37 million, locked in to slam doors shut in the late innings. Then, almost casually, they reached across the Pacific and brought in Kazuma Okamoto, a 6-time NPB All-Star who just hit .327 with a monstrous 1.014 OPS in 2025, on a 4-year, $60 million deal. Before most teams had even warmed up their calculators, Toronto had committed over $37 million annually to elite talent. But this wasn't reckless spending. It was choreography. Every move was placed with intent, every contract a step in a larger dance. The brilliance of it all is that these signings don't complicate a Kyle Tucker pursuit. They clarify it. They make it feel not just possible, but almost inevitable. Ross Atkins and Mark Shapiro aren't assembling a roster. They're drafting blueprints, laying foundations, and raising pillars for something meant to last. Kyle Tucker can see that. The Mets can see it. The Dodgers can see it. The rest of the league can feel it, even if they won't say it out loud. Toronto's leverage in this 3-team battle begins with something that matters more than glossy presentations or bold promises. Recent success. This Blue Jays team stood 2 outs away from a World Series title in 2025. 2 outs. Game 7. Heartbreak delivered by the Dodgers themselves. That kind of loss doesn't weaken a team. It sharpens it. It lingers in the clubhouse, whispers in the tunnels, and fuels every off-season decision with urgency and hunger. Compare that to the Mets, who collapsed spectacularly down the stretch despite a payroll north of $340 million, missing the playoffs entirely. That's not momentum. That's instability. The Dodgers did lift the trophy, but Tucker knows something vital. They did it without him. Toronto, on the other hand, proved beyond doubt that they are one elite bat away from finishing the job. Then there's trajectory, the quiet force that players feel even when they're not consciously thinking about it. The Blue Jays are rising, their arrow pointing unmistakably upward. The Mets are reshuffling, trading away Brandon Nimmo and Jeff McNeil, losing Pete Alonso and Edwin Diaz, and desperately trying to stitch together a new identity around Francisco Lindor and Juan Soto. That's not a finished canvas. That's a worksite. The Dodgers, for all their power and prestige, face a different question. Their outfield is already crowded. Teoscar Hernandez, Tommy Edman, Andy Pages. It's a luxury problem, yes, but it's still a puzzle. Where does Tucker fit seamlessly, without compromise? And more importantly, what kind of future does he want? At 29, with generational wealth within reach, does he really want to gamble on short-term, high AAV deals? Or does he want the security of a long-term commitment to a contender built to last? This is where the Okamoto signing reveals itself as pure chess. On the surface, some question the fit. Dig deeper, and the logic is elegant. Okamoto slides into third base, freeing Addison Barger to return to the outfield, where he thrived in 2025. Suddenly, the pieces align. Tucker in left, Barger in right, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. anchoring the heart of the order. Bo Bichette potentially returning to complete the picture. Okamoto adding balance and depth. This isn't congestion. It's harmony. Financially, the picture is just as calculated. Toronto's payroll sits around $286 million, with a luxury tax figure hovering just over $300 million. They're already past the highest threshold. The penalties are accepted. The Rubicon has been crossed. Adding Tucker doesn't change the category they are in. It simply maximizes an investment already made. And with significant money coming off the books after 2026, the long-term outlook remains sustainable, not suffocating. There's also a psychological edge that doesn't show up on spreadsheets. When Kyle Tucker toured the Blue Jays' Dunedin complex back in December, he wasn't just inspecting facilities. He was stepping into a culture. He saw a franchise that responded to heartbreak not with excuses, but with action. He spoke with Vladimir Guerrero Jr., a global star entering his prime. He felt the weight and warmth of a fan base that fills a country, not just a city. The Mets can offer money. The Dodgers can offer a well-trodden path to contention. Toronto can offer something far rarer. Purpose. The chance to be the final piece. Not a passenger on an established dynasty. Not a savior tasked with fixing something broken, but the difference-maker who pushes a great team over the line and etches his name into its defining chapter. And yes, the question always comes. Can Toronto really afford this? The answer is as clear as it has ever been. Rogers Communications has shown a level of commitment this franchise has never known. A $500 million extension for Vladimir Guerrero Jr., a franchise record pitching deal for Cease. This isn't tentative ambition. This is ownership planting a flag and declaring that winning now is the priority. So no, this three-team race is not a threat. It's confirmation. It's proof that the Blue Jays have built something so formidable that baseball's biggest brands feel compelled to respond. Kyle Tucker won't choose Toronto because they shouted the loudest or spent the most. He'll choose Toronto because it offers the rarest blend of all: championship readiness, organizational stability, financial security, and the opportunity to define an era. The Blue Jays aren't chasing Kyle Tucker. He's deciding whether to join Toronto's mission or accept alternatives that simply don't offer the same completeness. That is the position of strength this front office has earned, brick by brick, decision by decision. So what do you think, Jays Nation? Is Kyle Tucker on the brink of making the defining choice of his career? Can you see the championship vision taking shape right in front of us? Let me know in the comments, and if you've enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Jay's Quick News, because this story is far from over, and the next chapter might just be the one we've all been waiting for.